Good.
All right, I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Abington Public Schools Committee for Tuesday, March 25th. We'll start by saluting the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hearing of any visitors present? Seeing none, we'll move on. Reading and approval of our records, February 25th, regular Abington School Committee meeting minutes. Everyone have a chance to take a look at those? Were there any amendments or changes? This will look for a motion to approve the minutes of February 25th as presented.
I'll make the motion.
Mike?
A second.
Kathy, all in favor?
Aye.
Under principal's report, we were going to have tonight visitors from our Woodsdale Elementary School, the student council making a presentation, but unfortunately, they're going to need to reschedule because the majority of our students are ill, unfortunately. So we will look forward to them coming and doing a presentation for us in the near future. So now we'll turn it over to Dr. Ritt, Center Elementary School.
Starting off, I'd like to thank the members of my school council for the Center School Council in creating the document for next year and the goals and formulating the action steps for Center School. So starting off, our first goal is to design opportunities that focus on whole child development. So at Center School, we're looking at everything that encompasses early childhood, including social and emotional, social studies and science, and our first action step is related to the common core standards of social studies and science. Last year, we actually received an Exxon grant in the amount of $500 to be used for math or science. What we've done, because we're looking at the cost science kits in the other grades, in elementary grades, we decided that we'd like to get a quote to see if we could get a science kit for the kindergarten, which would potentially happen in the fall. We're also doing peer observations in these areas because we're so focused on the math and ELA that we also understand that sometimes the social studies is embedded along with the science because we do that's a thematic approach over at Center School. We are differentiating instruction to meet the specific learning needs of all students. We did a professional development for staff in February, and we will continue to look at that. That goes along with our peer observations, and it's a continued process for us at Center School. This was a new, peer observations was new this year. We're going to continue that and move forward with that as well next year. Established data teams. Our data teams were established this year. In kindergarten, they meet weekly for 1 hour, and preschool staff is still determining the schedule. We've tried a couple of different ways to make it work with them, but because they're scheduled with testing, evaluations, and reports and meetings, it's been tricky to get 1 hour each week. So we're looking at different options for next year for them that would work well.
When would you have a more definitive?
I'm sorry?
When would you have a more definitive schedule on that?
We actually are meeting this week to do that. We've put out a few different options to see what would be best suited. And then in the fall, we'll have the definitive schedule that will be put in place for the whole year. This year was a learning process for them as far as figuring out what would work best for everybody because there are so many members of the preschool team. We want to make sure we can include the therapy staff. And since our PT and OT are not there every day, it's become a challenge in determining the schedule. So instead of starting off the year in September and saying, you know, we can commit to this one time per week, we needed to really see where the time would allow for that to happen. So that will happen in the fall.
Thank you.
You know, if I could, and just, I don't know if if that cord on that microphone is long enough to move it to the end of the table so you can hear it, or if it would reach all the way to the podium. I know you love that microphone over there, but doing all this giving us all this good information. It'd be good to have the cable. Yeah, no, it's good. I think that'll work. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
The next action step, fully implement the social skills improvement system in preschool and kindergarten. I did discuss this last year when I came with the school improvement plan. We are continuing. I was at Head Start last week for a school readiness committee, which involves, it's supposed to involve the 26 towns in our region. Brockton was there, and they're using the SSIS. That's the name for it. But what's happened is there's so many components to the SSIS that we are really going to focus on the one area of the social skills, and that's what Head Start's doing, and that's what Brockton is doing as well. So we will take those portions and then fully implement in the fall. We've had discussions at staff meetings this year as far as how we will embed that. What they have done this year is use the video portions that go along with this. So that way, next year, then we can look at the data and how are we going to collect data and fully implement that system for the social skills in the fall. Encourage students to reinforce and extend essential academic and social skills beyond the school day. We are continuing to reinforce the bucket filling program, and the information was sent home the beginning of the year. So we did it in phases. Last year, we rolled it out slowly, where it was first the teachers in the classrooms, and then it was incorporating the parent involvement at home, and actually the beginning of the year was with the bus drivers. This year, right from the start, since everyone was familiar with the program, we did it right from the start in September with parents and with the bus drivers and with the teachers. So we will continue with that next year, and we feel it's important to keep it in here because that is something that is really important, and we have seen an increase in the positive behaviors at center school with this program.
Can I just ask on the first action step, we have implement Common Core standards. I know Common Core lowercase.
Okay.
Is this Common Core that everybody knows and loves, or is this something else? Are you referring to something else?
We actually, in preschool and kindergarten, it's a little unique because we do have to go along with the Common Core from the Massachusetts, DESE. We also have the guidelines for preschool learning experiences, the guidelines for kindergarten learning experiences, and then the NAEYC guidelines, and then the QRIS guidelines. So we have to filter all of those into our Common Core, what we call the Common Core at center school. And they all are aligned with each other, but to us, the Common Core are those four areas, the four governing agencies that
Okay.
rule the early childhood education.
All right.
NAEYC stands for,
National Association for the Education of Young Children. So that is where we're accredited right now. QRIS is the Quality Rating Improvement System that is actually governed by the state of Massachusetts, and that is one thing they haven't made it. At first, it started voluntarily for school districts and private program providers in Massachusetts, and now it's tied to some of the grants that some of the private programs have, as well as some school districts. We do not have a grant that's tied to QRIS. However, we are required to be in the process of QRIS.
So I think probably to Paul, to your point, the Common Core is more, you're not saying Common Core statewide
Correct.
Common Core, you're speaking Common Core
Right, the core
specific
of
to,
what we are doing.
right, to center school and the agencies.
Yeah, and so that's why the reference was lowercase to, it's your Common Core at the
Mm-hmm. Correct.
school. Okay.
Correct.
I just want to make sure. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. And for strategic goal 2, integrating the use of technology to improve instruction. We are looking to increase the type and use of technology and software available at center school. We began with that in our first school improvement plan, and we continue on because it is an ongoing process with adding more things that are helpful and useful for the teachers and for the students. All of the classrooms, the first year center school was opened, they had amplification systems. Our teachers continue to use that. We have an interactive whiteboard installed in room 7, so you'll see in this document room 7 is referenced. Right now that is a room that is used for meetings for our community play group to come for music classes and enrichment activities. So that's where we figured, instead of having it in one classroom for students, we thought having it in a common classroom where students could sign up, or classrooms could sign up and go access it there, would be best.
Is that, Dr. Richards, and that's the only classroom we have one in at Center?
Yes, the interactive whiteboard. This actually here says awaiting installation of interactive table. We do now have the interactive table. We are just waiting, our technology liaison will be training the staff in it. Thank you. Training the staff so that all of the classrooms can access the interactive whiteboard table. All classrooms have iPads available as of this year. And then BoardMaker, which is a computer program that is used mainly in early childhood grades for language. Those have been purchased, and we currently hold 4 copies so that we rotate them through. So each grade and each therapist can access that for the students that need the visual schedules, the agendas, and anything to access language.
I have 2 questions.
Mhm.
Are there plans to add any more interactive whiteboards to any of the classrooms in the future through PTO or something? And second is, how many iPads do you actually have per classroom?
We
Those are
have-
my questions.
We have 1 iPad per classroom. The speech therapist has one, each speech therapist, so we have 2, they each have 1 as well, and then 1 per classroom. And then as far as interactive whiteboards, I know that has been brought up and questioned at PTO as something, would we like that? The challenge is, if we did it, the conversation has been, where would we put it? What room? How do we determine which room gets the next interactive whiteboard? And I think, that would have to really be a conversation with the teachers as well, to include them, for the sake of, it not being, why do they have one and the other room doesn't have one? So, okay. So providing necessary training for all teachers to create and maintain websites. That is ongoing, and we're just awaiting the technology department to schedule that. Probably in the fall, in the full day. This year, we did have a rotation on our full day professional development where there was that opportunity for them to sign up. But the goal is to have all of the teachers have their website, and with everything going on in technology, there's some other things that have to happen first, and things have been evolving and changing. So we're looking to have that happen next year. Provide opportunities and necessary supports for staff to collaborate and participate in professional development related to technology. So as I mentioned, the full day PD last year, we did have some technology-related topics for them to sign up for, and we're also looking for that again in the fall so that we can have a full day to rotate the teachers through some different opportunities.
What would you say before we move on, that the staff, where are they, technology-wise? I know sometimes it's a struggle, if they're not really technology savvy before we start this and add all of these components. Where do you see your staff in general?
I think everyone is in a different place,
Yeah.
but they all have the foundation. And I think with the use of the iPads, with adding that in, it's greatly increased the knowledge of what's available and the kinds of things that they can do. We have a Facebook page at Center School, which the staff has also been accessing to see what we're posting on there and what we're using. I think that there is that, the basic knowledge, the interactive whiteboard, they all know how to use that. So as far as getting to the next step for the websites, I think as long as it's easy and simple, it won't be time consuming for them.
Okay. Thank you.
So our third goal, to reinforce the principles of good citizenship and nurture the values of respect, consideration, and tolerance for others. So the first action step, to include enrichment programs that provide positive messages about self-respect and good citizenship. And we continue on with the Toe Jam Band, Science Sizzlers, and Crazy Critters. Those are through grants that we receive, and PTO does fund so that all students in the building can access that and be a part of it. Consistent behavioral expectations and a common language with a monthly character theme.
So we focus on the bucket fillers. We started that in 2013 and 14, and then we'll determine a monthly theme. Once we start the SSIS, Social Skills Improvement System, they will determine, there is a monthly theme that goes along with that as well. So then we'll blend the two together and then be able to fully implement that in the fall.
And all age groups will be exposed to the SSIS?
Yes,
Full and part-time day?
yes. Recognizing positive student behavior. So we have weekly bucket fillers for the classroom, and we announce those, and we continue with that. We send postcards home, and then we have recognition on the intercom for that, and that will just be it's a continued thing at center school for them. We have monthly spirit days and a community service project one time per year. We have the spirit days being implemented by the PTO, and we actually just at our last school council meeting, we just voted on our community service project, and it's with Free the Children. And the project that we chose in Free the Children is We Create Change. So the idea is that the children bring in change, and each classroom gets a schoolhouse. We're waiting for them to send them to us, where they put change in. And then the change goes to Free the Children to help create or to help build a school in another country that the center school determines what country they'd like. One brick is $20, so we thought it would be really neat that, provided that everything goes as we hope in Abington with the new building, it would actually be something great for them to be able to conceptualize how building a building happens and how there are bricks and foundations. So that's what we just voted on, and that will be our project, our community service project.
How do you choose, if you don't mind me asking, the community service project? How does it?
We discussed it at school council as far as what they wanted to do, or just some ideas that were there, and this one seemed to really resonate because it was easy. Throughout the year, Free the Children also has different projects that we could do. In February, it's called We Are Love, and all they do is wear pins, heart pins, or pins that Free the Children send us that are just, love pins. And it's something simple enough for the kids to be able to grasp the concept of. And so that's what we really wanted it to be, something that is developmentally appropriate for them too, that they could understand, that it could go along with our social skills that we are practicing at center school for the kids and teaching them through the bucket filler programs.
Now, Free the Children, that's a not-for-profit? Do we know a percentage of a donation actually goes to helping something versus overhead and administration?
We do not.
Okay.
I'm sure it's there, and I could find that out.
Okay. Yeah, I just, like, when we get involved with not-for-profits, just what percentage is actually going to the intended recipients?
And for the fourth goal, provide appropriate school facilities and a healthy and safe learning environment. We will be holding a center school Earth Day. We'll do the first one this year, and then we'll continue on with next year. We are looking to improve the appearance of the lobby and the cafeteria and the laboratorium. And then what we did is we brainstormed in March at the staff meeting, and as well as school council. And one of the things that we'll be doing this year, one of our school council members, Tiffany Hayden, had mentioned she will see if there could be donations of flowers, because all of the classrooms do planting projects in the spring in their classrooms, so they thought planting flowers outside of the building is another great way that they could incorporate that. And then publicizing the NutriKids cafeteria payment option. So we have full-day students that access that and need to access that in kindergarten, and then some in preschool as well. So we will continue to publicize that for families and make sure that they are aware. And it's amazing, we still have families that don't know that that's an option for them. And for goal 5, we'll continue to build on a tradition of community support. So we'll use the website to efficiently communicate with the community. We do have a virtual tour posted on the website along with events, and we'll continue to do that. Post all relevant information online in a timely manner, as well as any of the forms. So we have registration that happens. We just filled our cafeteria It was all the way out to the parking lot. Parents were standing and trying to listen in during our open house, which was wonderful. So we want to make sure, and a lot of them were able to access anything that I posted on Facebook, and then as well as our documents on the website. So we will continue that, and we'll continue to put as much as we can out there for families to access. And then encourage the involvement of senior citizens, high school students, and other community members at Center School. We continue to solicit volunteers and utilize volunteers in the kindergarten regularly, as well as our school librarian. And then we do have programs where the high school students, and then we have 6th grade buddies that come. And we're still looking for other community members. This year, we did a reading project where we had a guest reader. It was hard to get them for the past couple of months, but in the beginning of the year, we were able to have a guest reader come and visit all of the classrooms. And we will keep the community informed through phone calls, constant contact, website, newsletters, notices, and cable TV. And we maintain the media outlets, and we'll publish the information and make sure it's accurate and current. We'll host activities and events at the school that encourage parents and guardians to become directly involved in events. So a lot of that is really generated through the PTO, but we do ask parents, if they want to come and help out with open house or any of the other events and activities that we have going on that we're working in conjunction with PTO. And then actually we do have in the fall, we received the 298 grant from DESE this just back in February, I believe. We got notification, so I wrote that in December. And what that is we'll be hosting a parent information night in the fall. And what we did with the staff is we talked about the ways or what could really be beneficial for the parents of students at Center School. And we thought it would be really nice for parents to come in and see what goes on in the classrooms and what kinds of activities are being done that they could replicate at home. So this is going to be a night where each staff member takes a table, they generate an activity, so we'll have a fine motor activity, a gross motor, ELA, math, social studies, science, and we'll have bags for parents to take home with materials where they can replicate these activities at home as well. And then a booklet of all of the ideas so that they can really see it's not just playing, even though play is really important for social and emotional development of young children. We also want them to see the skills or the things that they can be doing at home to help us reinforce the skills that the kids need to learn.
I had one question on the Exxon grant. Is that a one-time 500?
It was. Last year it was an aunt of a student that we had that wrote the grant because she worked for the company.
And you're applying again for another one, or?
I don't believe we are. We didn't do it. It was a parent or an aunt that did it and then brought it in to us. She showed up one day with the check. Right.
Need more aunts?
I know.
So that grant, the money is being used to purchase the science kit.
Mhm.
So it was past money you just received for this.
We received it at the end of last year, so it's been in holding because we've been looking at science and what kinds of materials we would need to purchase. So it worked out perfectly where it wasn't quite determined yet, because if the older grades are doing the fall science kits, then we can look at that and see, okay, how can we make that in correlation with or keep it in line with that so that it's a smooth transition from grade to grade.
Just, last year when you presented, you said that the Center School was like the happiest place in town. Is it still?
Of course.
All right.
Of course, and actually, as of this week, our enrollment for next
Yeah.
year, we're looking at almost all of our classrooms are full for next year. So we'll be starting a wait list, and that's really, this early on is really exciting because the past 2 years we haven't had this early on our classrooms almost completely full.
Oh,
So
great.
I think word's gotten out.
Yeah. No, I thought that was pretty cool the way you said that last year, so just wanted to
Thank you.
give you an opportunity to throw it back in there.
Which, it's probably the right time to say this, that if we're successful with the construction of a school building here, we'll be able to offer the full-day kindergarten program that Abington would like to offer to Abington families that we can't offer now because we don't have the space in our facilities. So.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rich. And now we'll move on to Danielle Kay, our Beaver Elementary School Principal, for a school improvement plan also.
Probably loud enough for it. So good evening. I want to thank my school council members for working tirelessly with me in creating the school improvement plan. As you know, it's a living document, so we want it to be applicable to the building. So we went over last year's and where we were at it. We kept some things, we dropped some things, so they were really great. So our co-chair was Jen Diambra, Pamela Mulcahy, Erin Regan. Those are our parents. Teachers are Lori Corner, Katrina Park, Taryn Whitman. Our community rep is Christy Coombs, and our liaison is Mike Kowalski. So I'd like to really say thank you. They were very helpful. So our elementary school improvement plan has 5 goals, and then under each goal has certain action steps. So under the first goal, we have improved student performance through rigorous and relevant curriculum, instruction, and assessment in an optimal learning environment. So there's 8 action steps under here that we really wanted to focus on to achieve this goal. So the first one is to pilot a full inclusion model in grades 1 and grade 3, which is a co-teaching model with special education students and general education students in the classroom. 2 is to reduce class size. That's our hope. Especially right now, currently my grade 3 is at 30 in a classroom right now, so hopefully next year we can really reduce those numbers. Action step 3 is grade level.
Can I just stop you on that? So the numbers we have here, that's what you want to get to?
This would be for next year.
For next year.
Projected, correct.
Yeah, so, like, if you look at grade, I don't mean to interrupt, but, because I'm looking at this, I just want to make sure I understand that, when this is a public document, so you're striving to get 24 students in grade 3 and 28 or
Incorrect.
29.
So this is next year's numbers currently.
Okay.
So we want another 4th grade teacher to get the class average size 28 down,
Right. What is it, like, what's the average in 3rd grade now?
29, 30.
Okay. And so,
It varies by class because students dropped off. So you got one class has 28, 2 have 29, a couple have 30.
okay. So is this proposal, is this going to change anything? Because we're at 28, you're proposing 28.8 right now.
So you have 6 sections in 3rd grade right now. Because it's a transient population, you have students leaving. If you actually take those numbers and evenly divide them, you get 28.8 because we lost students along the way.
Okay.
So
But I
what you're
can't
saying
filter the
is
kids now.
these numbers are what, without additional staff,
Correct.
this is what you project for next year.
Correct.
Okay, oh, all right, okay.
So our hope would be to add another teacher to make 7 sections in 4th grade,
And then, to get it to
to get the number down.
what would the,
26, I believe, mathematically.
okay, all right.
Right. 25/26. I don't know, I'd have to do the math, something like that. I don't know the number off the top of my head.
And ideally, what would you want the 4th grade to be? If
I-
Well, no, I like, all right, you live in Abington, budget concerns.
Realistically.
Realistically,
24 students,
okay, all right.
ideally 18.
Well, okay, yeah. All right, thank you, I don't mean
When you
to.
It's like
say,
winning the
when you
lottery.
say, excuse me, when you say
That's okay.
ideally 18, you're looking at the research on what is effective teaching and learning.
Right.
And that's what we need to know. People need to know what is the research saying is effective for classroom size, not just, this is Abington.
Correct.
Because Abington kids have to go into the real world with all those other kids. So we need to know what's the research that's out there. Sorry.
No. You're on my side, I like it. Any more questions on that?
No,
Just
thank you.
interject anytime.
Yeah.
Okay. Action step 3 is grade level teams continue to meet systematically to discuss curriculum instruction and analyze data from a variety of sources. So usually this is bi-monthly, but as you know, some months have 3 weeks, some months have 5 months. So it's done, grades 1 and 3 meet 1 week, the next week is grades 2 and 4. So it's done systematically. Action step 4 is curriculum in all subject and grade levels is aligned with the Massachusetts frameworks and the Common Core standards. And the reason being, for example, math in grade 1 has some other standards that the Common Core doesn't have that is adopted by Massachusetts. Number 5 is differentiate instruction in English language arts and mathematics to meet the specific learning needs of all students. Number 6 would provide targeted support during and after the school day for students whose classroom performance and/or scores on Massachusetts Comprehensive Assessment System and/or ELA mathematics benchmark assessments indicate a need for remediation. So currently we have an after-school program for students who are not currently making adequate progress. Number 7, examine the 3rd and 4th grade MCAS results and look for trends by standard, strand, and specific subgroups. So we do that during common planning time. Number 8, we want to continue administering the Gates-McGinnity reading test, which is an online version that the students in 2nd grade take in the computer lab, and we take that in the fall and in the spring. Let me look at those. Any questions on goal 1?
On your last one with the results of the Gates-McGinnity, what are those assessments, after you evaluate them, how are they used?
They are used in common planning time to derive instruction and find the weaknesses of each student. So they take the first score and they look and they see where their students are that fall under the comprehension, and then they make small groups within their classroom to target instruction, and then they look at the growth in the spring to compare the 2 scores.
Thank you.
Well, hopefully not lack of growth, but.
I have a couple of questions before you move on. For piloting of the full inclusion model, what would you, grade 1 and grade class size?
What would the class size be? It would be 24 students.
In each grade? 24 grade 1, 24 grade 3?
24, 25 in grade 1.
In grade 3?
24, 25.
Same.
So would all of the classes be inclusion classes, or are you having specific inclusion classes?
No, it would be, so you would have 6 general, out of the 6 class, so right now I have 6 sections of 1st grade.
Okay.
So what I would do is take one section and make it a co-teaching model, and it's dependent on IEPs, their service delivery, so that you would have a general education teacher and a special education teacher. Instead of pulling out for that targeted instruction, they would have the instruction within the classroom, so you'd lose the travel time, and then it's more within the lines of the curriculum right in the classroom.
So for each grade level, you would have one inclusion class?
Not on grade 4. Our goal was to have at least grade 1 and grade 3, and right now we're looking at grade 2. We might be able to implement it as well.
So how many special ed students would be part of your inclusion class in that, say in grade 1? You have
Grade
one
1
inclusion class?
currently, students, 24 students. You'd still have a class size.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to know specifically how many students on IEPs?
That's what I was looking
Okay.
for.
8 students currently right now would be on IEPs in the 1st grade.
Okay.
In the 3rd grade, it would be 12.
Okay, thank you.
And then just not a question, my other comment would be starting with number 6, the action steps. I wonder if as we move, into, is MCAS staying, are we moving to a PAC? Should we be using a more general term in all of our student improvement plans that denote that as, Massachusetts statewide testing as opposed to a specific test?
And I don't know what's going to happen with PARC,
Right.
but it seems as though we've got some we still have some time for these to be revised. when
And that
Mass
was just,
switches
like I
over.
said, a comment
Yeah.
for all of us to think about
Yeah.
as we move forward.
I don't have a preference either way.
No, I think
No, yeah.
it's good for
just-
today,
yeah.
but next year and the year after, we're gonna have to think about it, depending on what our state decides to do.
Okay. Goal 2?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's give it a good wait time. Goal 2, maximize opportunities provided by technology to transform teaching, learning, and assessment. Under this goal, we have 5 action steps. So the first one is to increase the type and amount of technology available at BBES. Number 2 would to be provide necessary support for all teachers to maintain websites. Number 3 is to hire a full-time instructional technologist to promote the use of technology and to coach staff regarding best practices. Number 4 would be purchase and implement Dibble's software for progress monitoring and benchmarks on electronic devices. Dibble's is an assessment that they use in grades 1 and 2, and I believe Dr. Rich probably uses it in pre-K and kindergarten. And that's an indicator of reading. And action step 5 would be to provide opportunities for staff to participate in differentiated professional development related to technology.
How often would you say the teachers update their websites?
Currently, right now, I know a few teachers have websites, but we've taken them down because of the current website model that they were using. So in the fall, they did have like a professional development day to learn a few different types of websites that are out there that they could utilize. But with all the initiatives that went on with the state this year, it's been kind of put on the back burner, but they definitely have a thirst to do it.
How many websites would you say you have now? How many staff members have websites for their classrooms?
4 that I currently know that are active.
More than you currently know?
4.
Oh, 4.
Four.
Okay. Yep, thank you.
Okay, just make sure. Goal 3 is to teach and reinforce principles of good citizenship, and I have 5 action steps under this goal. 1 is to schedule enrichment programs that provide positive messages, which PTO and the AEF has been absolutely wonderful in supporting that. Action step 2 is to maintain consistent behavioral expectations and recognize positive student behavior. So we use it like a PBIS model, which is a positive behavior incentive program that uses the same language throughout the building. And then 3 is to model and reinforce the messages of reduce, reuse, and recycle, and promote easy and effective practices that benefit the environment. Number 4 would be to grade 3 and 4 student council members and other peer role models have specific responsibilities for promoting responsible citizenship, and they presented last month here, which was awesome. And then number 5 would be monthly spirit days is celebrated, and that's through our student council.
You know, the student council that came to present, the students told us that they're getting a buddy bench. Is that, I had asked if they were, looking to getting one. They said, oh, no, we're getting one. Is that
So-
in the works for them?
So right now, currently, there is a bench out there that is dedicated to a family, so we're reaching out to the family if that's okay, that we use that as the buddy bench.
Oh, okay.
So that's what they're doing first, and then the second option is that we build one and then the kids can paint it and sign it.
Mhm.
So we have 2 options.
Right.
And now we have no snow, and then it might snow. I mean, I
Ah.
can't win.
That was my question about the
Oh.
buddy bench.
And they loved it. Goal 4 is to provide a healthy and safe learning environment with an appropriate school facility. And we have 4 action steps under this. So our first action step is to continue to access the efficiency use of space within the school to ensure that all available space is used efficiently and effectively as possible. Number 2 is to hold a BBS cleanup day in the fall and or spring.
Do we have one roughly planned for the spring?
So that's what our student council's talking about this coming month, that we want to hold one in May. No, and they want to do also the literacy garden and build some of the science stuff out there that they have a grant for, build some science gardens. Number 3 is to improve the appearance of the interior and exterior of the school. And number 4, students will learn how to be safe and responsible citizens online.
Can you just do me, on the indicators of accomplishment, digital citizenship, could you just briefly explain that, what that is, digital citizenship?
Sure, it's, I guess it's technology lingo that's out there, and it's teaching students, like, when you put something out online, that it's there and everybody sees it. So just having them be responsible. So even say they have all these things like Snapchat, you wouldn't believe, like, kids in first grade have it. So even though you're like, oh, they're little kids, they still know how to use it. And even if you posted a picture, you know, the name on your backpack might be there. They can see that, oh, okay, they have a green wave, they must go to Abington. And there's people that are not safe out in the world that can, you know, that surf the net looking for things like this, and to teach them to be responsible and what's to put online that's appropriate.
So is that a term, digital citizenship, you use in your building, or is?
No, this is new for next year.
Oh.
So this is what we want to implement.
Okay, all right. But that term, though, digital citizenship, because I've never heard it before, a digital citizenship, I mean.
Oh, there's a whole curriculum with it. I can send you some stuff if you
Well,
want.
that's what I'm saying, it's educational, but I've just never heard it elsewhere.
Oh, yeah. Well, I used to teach technology, so I'll
Right.
send you a bunch of stuff if you're interested.
Okay.
But it's really important
Not
to
too
teach
much.
students to.
Well, this must know he made the word up.
No, I
I did not
believe
make the
that.
word up, I promise.
No, I mean, there's a lot of different terms out there, that one was new, I hadn't heard that before.
I'm gonna send you some. I promise
Okay.
I
Yeah.
won't inundate you.
All right. I blew that one.
I just was wondering about how many students do you think have cell phones? At
Oh, good job,
Brook?
yeah.
Just
Quite a
ballpark.
few, quite a few. I've had a few student incidences within the building that they've had cell phones, and that's things that I don't know until incidents happen with cell phones. But roughly, the research out there that says most, like a lot of third graders and up have cell phones, but I've also had students when I taught that first graders had cell phones. It's dependent on what the parent,
Right.
you know, especially if students, you know, in my last community, they walked home, and parents thought that was a safety thing, which I agree, and they had a cell phone for that use. But it's more and more.
Younger and younger.
Goal number 5, to improve communication with Beaverbrook Elementary School community and Abington Town residents. We have 5 action steps under this. The first one is to increase the use of Abington Public Schools websites to efficiently communicate with the community. We have number 2, to contribute to curriculum brochures for each grade level and publish them on the website. Number 3, to continue to keep the community informed through phone calls, constant contact, newsletters, notices, Remind 101, and cable TV. And then number 4, to encourage the involvement of senior citizens, high school and middle school students, and other community members at Beaverbrook. And then to host activities and events at the school that encourage parents, guardians to become directly involved in the BBS community.
What's Remind 101?
So you're a classroom teacher, and I send home a notice, hey, if you want to sign up for Remind 101, you get texts. But you never give me your cell phone number. You actually sign it up through this website. And the teacher can send out a Remind 101 through her phone or his phone, and it goes right to your cell phone, and a text will show up of a remind of something in the classroom, like tomorrow's Spirit Day, don't forget this, or tomorrow we're going to the Abington Public Library, if you didn't bring in your permission slip, don't forget to bring it. So it's just notifications. It's like constant contact, but it's a text message that goes to your phone without you sharing your cell phone number, without me sharing mine.
And the messages are generated by the teacher.
Correct.
Are they viewed before the administration before they're sent out?
The first notice is always reviewed by the one of the administrators, and then snippets from that is allowed to be used through the Remind 101.
And it's a one-way communication, right?
Correct.
Yeah. And I have to say, you know, my son's in 4th grade and his teacher uses it. I think it's outstanding. It's
I was going to ask how many
excellent.
parents. use it.
Yeah, I
A lot
get
of
it.
teachers
I think
use
it's
it.
outstanding.
Yeah.
Did you
Yeah.
say every teacher uses it?
No, I know 3 or 4 teachers use it in first grade, 4 or 5 teachers use it in second grade, 4 teachers in third grade, and a couple in fourth grade, maybe 2, maybe 3. I don't know
So,
exactly. I could get the exact
40%
numbers.
of them, 30% of the teachers are using it? Or more?
You're asking me a math question, hold on, 4, 8,
Ballpark.
10 out of 25, that's about 45%, yeah, of general ed teachers.
Yeah. Mhm.
Actually, I have one last comment, but I guess it's maybe towards Dr. Rich. Would it be possible for you to add an acronym page to your presentation so that we understand all the acronyms? Thank you.
And if I could just say, the logo is outstanding. I think that really,
I think
that-
it was somebody else with Mary Ann Dan Keys that designed the logo,
yeah,
so.
I think that looks great.
Is there any other questions?
Go anywhere.
I wasn't.
No, I meant on this, we should move on.
So, what I have in front of you is a draft proposal that I'd like to bring to your attention. So how this came about is parents and teachers had lots of concerns about the current midterm report that they were using. So the current midterm report would have the subject like reading, and then it was either an N or S. You're either meeting the standard or you're not meeting the standard. And then it just gave you a comment section box. And it wasn't explicit enough for parents, and teachers felt like they were writing long comments that weren't really addressing the needs for the student. So they asked if we could look at revising it. So I put a draft together, I sent it out to the teachers for feedback. What am I missing? What do we need? What would be the best for parents to view? How do we communicate what's the best accurate report that their students' progress is in the classroom? So once that was done, we brought it to school council, and then the parents and the school council sat together and we went through the progress report and made corrections to it. So I'm just going to present what we put in it. So obviously the student's name, the term, the grade. We added absences, tardies, and dismissal concerns because it is a concern if students are absent many days. I have some attendance concerns, dismissal concerns, and tardy concerns. So to bring it to the parents' attention, I don't think sometimes parents realize how many times they dismiss their child or how many times they've been absent, or we don't have notes on file to make them excused. So if that is a concern, there's a report that I can generate from X2 that tells you when the student was absent, what time the dismissal was, and then the report would be attached if it was a concern. And through our handbook, it's 7 absences a term, 21 for the year. So we've been monitoring that and sending letters. And then the homeroom teacher. And the reason why I put the homeroom teacher is because, as you know, as they travel to specialists, they have other teachers that are obviously putting their status on the progress report so that it could differentiate the two. We did the academic status key is just the same as the report card, so a 4, 3, 2, 1 to keep it consistent. And then there's an asterisk. If a student receives a 2 or 1, a comment is required, because as a parent, you would want to know what your child needs to work on if they're getting a 2 or 1, if they're not at the standard for the state. So we also defined the categories. So before it just said reading, and sometimes that's not enough for a parent. Okay, well, what do you mean reading? So what goes into reading? So it's comprehends text, reads with fluency and expression, reads independently, asks and answers questions, retells stories, describes elements of the story. And this goes from grades 1 all the way up through grade 4. Obviously, grade 4 is more in depth than grade 1, but these are the things that are in with reading. So we did reading, writing, mathematics, social studies, science, work study habits, social development behavior, homework, and then we did the specialist visual arts, and then we typed in who the teacher was so that the parent knew the teacher's name. So if there was a concern that they could contact that teacher, not the homeroom teacher, because that's not their subject level. And then at the bottom, we kept a parent comment section, and the parent's signature. And the thing that we did take off was the teacher's signature because it's coming from the teacher, it's coming from the school. So that is what we are proposing.
Has this been circulated to the teachers at the school and get feedback from them?
Yes, that was where I started first, and then I brought it to school council.
Okay, so the teachers are in support of this?
Yes.
Okay, so, other than the grades, what's the real difference between this and the report card that comes out? I mean, there's a lot here, and it almost, I get, the old one, it just seemed a little more personal, like, and with the busy schedule the teachers have, it's like, they can kind of go through, and then even the comment section over here. But here, this almost seems too legal, too medical, that it's like, okay, well, how is my child doing in reading? It's like, rather than the comments, it's like, sometimes I think parents just want to hear, Peter's a great boy in class and he's really working hard. Where do you capture that on this? I kind of get the feeling like that personal touch is lost in this when you look at this. I'm not saying that it's wrong, but it's like, where can we work that into it? So a parent can, rather than just talk about 1 through 4, how is he as goal number 3 is as a citizen?
What I heard, if I have it right, what I heard you say though, Danielle, is that when people are getting these at home, this does a better job of capturing information, because over here the comments with the students and the teacher having to write out the comments weren't as descriptive as they could or you would want them to be for a child to provide information to a parent.
We wanted it more clear and concise, so if a student is struggling, that before it was either N or S, and a lot of students are making progress, but when you put an N, it sounds like their student is failing. And that was a lot of parent feedback, a lot of parent phone calls. Well, why is it an N? Well, they didn't master the standard, so we can't check off master the standard. So there was a lot of things that were between the lines that I wanted it more clear and concise. The parents wanted it more clear and concise, and then the teachers were like, I checked off N because they're not meeting it. And I'm like, you didn't do anything wrong, but I just want to be more communicative to a parent of why your student is struggling. A progress report is to let you know before the report card
Right.
if there is a need for remediation and things like that. So it's a way to communicate to parents where students are struggling.
And a parent can write it, the teacher can write in it, a nice comment too, it's just required if it's a 1 or 2. But a
Right.
parent could say, he follows all the rules and enjoyed having class, a pleasure to have a class. But if they have the 1 or 2, they have to say something. So the teacher still has the option to say the nice thing in the personal thing,
Right.
in the comment box. If they put the 3 or the 4, they could still make those comments.
Okay.
So they could still say he's a stellar citizen.
So with this document, are there instructions on how to complete it now?
No.
No, I'm just saying, because someone might look at this and say, well, I'm supposed to just comment on his reading or her
Well, if it's
reading.
the 1 or the 2, they have to. They're required, they have to.
Right, if it's a 1 or 2, but if it's a 3 or 4, where we hope our children are, you leave that open. That's why I'm just saying, I see these a lot, not in education, but sort of in business, and people are nervous about, well, I got to answer the question. It's regarded to reading, and that's what I'm just saying as far as the child as a whole. When I look at this, I kind of lose it, because it's all about just, there's 12 standards now versus 8 before.
And I think this would, obviously, in terms of your staff, working with your staff instructions, they'll understand how to do it. You work with your staff on how to do this. And I'd imagine when you send this out, it comes with a cover letter from you explaining what this means to a parent, especially the first time it goes out, because people might see a change.
Well, maybe I'm just a simpleton, but I just thought this worked for me, and I just like the comment section where it was like, if my child was struggling something, that would be noted on there, but I also want to know that, he's a good citizen, he gets along with, he knows how to, pick up after himself, he knows how to treat people, and I just don't see where that.
That is actually one of the categories. is social development and behavior.
Right.
And that's respects, exhibits self-control, interacts appropriately with other, I mean, I think those are the pieces. And I understand
It's
what
the
you're
personal touch.
saying. Yeah.
Because you're dealing with children, from 6 to 10 here. And sometimes this looks like it might, no disrespect, might be something at the high school level. And it's, I don't know, just my own personal,
I think what Danielle didn't give the backdrop is that in some cases, it was too much, the fluffy, and not enough of, here's the expectation, did you meet the standards? And I think she's trying to do both. That we want to acknowledge that it's elementary and it's all about motivation and keeping, kids happy and motivated and wanting to come to school, but at the same time sending the message that, we have expectations at preschool all the way to age 22. So I think she's trying to do both. And, that's a tough one because like you said, it is nice to know, like, how are your kids going, doing in life.
Right.
But you can do both. But I think for us, we're held accountable to that standard. And so at least here, if a parent questions it, we can say, you have a great kid, and look at all these, attributes that they bring and characteristics, et cetera. But at the same time, they're struggling in ELA, math, science, and here's the standard, and this is where they're at.
So if my child got an N in social studies, I'd want to know, well, where are they? What's that N mean? They're not making the progress, and this provides me more information about where they are inside that N, or they are meeting the standard.
I have a couple, if we're to move forward with this, I would like to see, start out, we're very detailed about reading, writing, math, and then social studies and science, we just clump it all together, understands concepts. To me,
Directly
it
from the
almost-
report card.
And maybe we need to look at that too. I just think we talk so, detailed about, social studies and science are just as important as the other learning attributes. I think it's a great document to give the parents. It will give them a lot of information. I would like to see a comment required for every class, personally, whether it's a 1, 2, 3, 4. But I would like to see that, talking about what concepts, because you have a new parent, first grade, understands the concepts. They may not know what the concepts in first grade science are, whereas we explain them clearly to them in the other areas of learning.
That's where it would be a little bit more difficult, though, because in different grade levels, you cover different topics. So, for example, if you took science, third grade might be working on the solar system, so you'd understand solar system concepts, but in fourth grade, they were working on rocks and minerals. So this is where it gets a little more dicey, because you're going from grades 1 through grades 4.
I think
the same thing, though, that would pertain to math, though. Grade 1 math is very different from grade 4, yet we talk about the basic concepts that we want them to know. Think about it like that.
Right, and that's why we have understand concepts, uses problem-solving strategies, number facts. And then
No, I like it, but I just think we should be more specific in social studies and science also. I think parents will like it, and like I said, if maybe there was a comment for each, then that would.
Can I just say that the difference there is that reading, writing, and math are processes that are being taught, whereas social studies and science, it's content. So when you look at comprehension, fluency, expression, those are processes that a student's going to have to use in all of the reading they do throughout life. And the content of the material for the particular year is going to change. But social studies and science are not processes, those are content. So you would have to list the content for each particular year, which would be fine if you had a different progress report for each grade.
And then it'd be different for each term, because certain concepts are taught during different terms.
Even within the same grade, correct?
Correct.
Because they share information. No, so if we're in fourth grade, first term, I'm learning rocks and minerals, second, or this particular part of it, second term, you're learning that same thing.
Right.
Because so it's not the same time, because we're
Yeah,
sharing
sharing
materials.
materials.
I think what she's getting at is if you look at, go further down into visual arts, music, health, you still have understands concepts, but then participates and cooperates is an important piece of it. Is there more detail or specification, like science, hands-on, learning? Is that, could that be under cooperation?
Yeah, I
or-
think we,
If I'm hearing you, right?
yep, you are. I mean, I think that they're part of our core curriculum. I think it needs more than a